Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 9 Part 44 based on novel. So let's start. 3 streaks of light intertwined as they shined on the body of the demonic corpse. Under the light, the Yimo-chi that pervaded his body instantly started to emit bursts of white smoke. Hissing sounds rang out as the sinister and evil aura started to scatter at a rate that was visible to the naked eye. Obviously, the combined might of these 3 great divine treasures had quite a powerful subduing effect on the Yimo-chi. Within the smoke, miserable shrieks continued to emerge from the demonic corpse's mouth. From this, one could tell that this cleansing was intensely painful. With a grave expression on his face, Lin Dong focused on controlling the 3 great divine treasures. Although the Yimo-chi was continuously dissipating in front of him, he did not dare to let his guard down. That was because he was keenly aware that the demonic corpse in front of him was different from those he had encountered before. Demonic tattoos had been carved over all of his body, and these demonic tattoos were just like chains, sealing the Yimo-chi firmly within the body. Therefore, if Lin Dong failed to erase these tattoos, it would be impossible for him to dispel the Yimo-chi. Roar? Miserable roars continued to ring out as the hands of the demonic corpse pressed against the air. His body trembled intensely as thick killing intent radiated out from it. However, the killing intent was firmly restrained by the sliver of consciousness left. At this juncture, if he was unable to restrain his killing intent and ended up hurting Lin Dong, it might never be freed. Be careful, the demonic markings on my body are about to counterattack. As the body of the demonic corpse trembled, he suddenly raised his head. Promptly, evil black chi flooded out from his eyes as an extremely hoarse voice rang out. Upon hearing those words, Lin Dong instantly felt a chill in his heart. He grew increasingly tense as he solemnly waited for what was coming. Bang! Not long after the corpse voice rang out, the demonic tattoos covering his entire body suddenly started to furiously sparkle. In the next moment, the demonic tattoos started to squirm and wiggle like black bugs. From a distance, they seemed extremely bizarre. Kai Kai? The wriggling demonic tattoos suddenly scuttled out from within the demonic corpse's body. In the next instant, black light frantically gathered. In the short span of a few breaths, under the shocked and astonished gaze of Lin Dong, it transformed into a 1,000 feet large creature of darkness. The creature's entire body was ink black, while black flames rose from it. Meanwhile, its eyes were completely filled with evil black chi and murderous intent. This darkness creature was clearly formed from those demonic tattoos on the body of the demonic corpse. Foolish human! After the darkness creature took shape, its eyes, which were filled with killing intent, locked onto Lin Dong, who was floating in the air. A deep roar rang out as killing intent blotted the sky. Bang! The black flames on the body of the darkness creature started to gather, transforming into a black flame pike. Roaring across the horizon, it blasted at Lin Dong like a lightning bolt. About time. Upon seeing this, Lin Dong did not panic at all. This darkness creature was formed from the demonic tattoos that had covered the body of the demonic corpse. If it was to continue hiding within the body of the demonic corpse, it would be quite difficult for him to completely cleanse it. However, now that it had left the demonic corpse on its own accord, it had presented Lin Dong with the perfect opportunity to get rid of it. When clearing weeds, one had to remove the roots. Similarly, when making a move, one must be completely merciless. This was Lin Dong's style. Since he had already agreed to help the demonic corpse dispel the Yimo-chi within its body, he would naturally exterminate all of it. Ancient universe formation, counter-revolution. Lin Dong's hand seal changed as a low roar rang out from his mouth. The glowing array in the sky abruptly started to revolve counterclockwise as it descended. In the next instant, a streak of light containing the power of disintegration swept forth before smashing head-on against the black flame pike. Kai Kai? At the instance of collision, an earth-shattering noise did not appear. Instead, that black flame pike began to disintegrate rapidly before scattering into nothingness. Bind! After dealing with the black flame pike, Lin Dong deeply roared once again. The streak of light brimming with the power of disintegration suddenly transformed into hundreds and thousands of light threads that spread outwards. In the next instant, they condensed together to form numerous radiant chains that danced dazzlingly in the sky. With a final tug, they binded the darkness creature. Roar! The darkness creature emitted an earth-shaking roar, causing black flames to rage and soar. However, when the flames reached towards the radiant chains created from the power of disintegration, they were completely disintegrated. Ancestral stone, purify. Indifference filled Lin Dong's face as he stared at the struggling darkness creature. Tapping the space in front of him with his finger, a bright and gentle white light instantly emerged from the ancestral stone. In the next moment, they poured down onto the darkness creature like rays from the sun. Bang bang bang. This time, when the gentle white light descended on the darkness creature, the chains that were binding it completely exploded, causing waves of evil Yimo Chi to dim in succession before dissipating. Roar roar! Following the mad and violent explosions, the previously imposing aura of the darkness creature instantly weakened substantially. Dread unexpectedly flashed across its black eyes. Obviously, it had never imagined that the three powers within Lin Dong's possession actually possessed such a subduing effect on Yimo Chi. Devouring ancestral symbol, exterminate it. Lin Dong stared at the darkness creature which was now weakened after receiving the attacks of the ancient universe formation and the ancestral stone. Promptly, he took in a deep breath. Yuan power erupted from his body like a flood before pouring into the devouring ancestral symbol to launch another attack. Hum. Following Lin Dong's roar, the devouring ancestral symbol started to rapidly wriggle and squirm. It transformed into a black hole. With a screech, it split space apart and like a circular blade, it furiously chopped down on the crown of the darkness creature with an astonishing speed. A muffled noise resounded as the rotating black hole pierced through the body of the darkness creature. A black line started to extend on its body. With a bang, it split into two as extremely miserable shrieks immediately emerged from the darkness creature's mouth. Slice again. Frostiness flooded Lin Dong's eyes. With a thought, the circular black hole blade flew out like lightning. In the short span of a few breaths, it had chopped the darkness creature into hundreds of pieces. However, even after being chopped to bits, those pieces continued to squirm. They radiated evil black chi and seemed to be unkillable. Annihilate them. With a sudden clench of his hand, Lin Dong's eyes instantly turned vicious. The three great divine treasures were activated once again. Three overbearing energies swept out, causing those pieces to turn into nihility at an astonishing speed. Where, lowly human? You actually dare to hurt my body? Within a short span of a few breaths, half of the pieces were quickly destroyed. Seemingly able to sense its impending doom, the remaining pieces hastily came together and transformed into the darkness creature which appeared much more incorporeal. From the looks of it, it seemed to have suffered serious injuries due to Lin Dong. Howls of rage rang out from its mouth. However, dread and terror started to erupt from within those pair of black eyes. With a turn of its body, it transformed into a flash of black light and hurtled back towards the demonic corpse. Obviously, it wanted to return to the latter's body. Kai? However, just as it had rushed towards the demonic corpse, the latter's eyes suddenly sprung open. Lightning sparkled within its eyes as peals of thunder rumbled. In the next instant, a giant bolt of lightning shot out from its body, violently striking the now illusory darkness creature. Bang! A loud noise resounded. The darkness creature was blown back with its whole body smelling like burnt flesh. You dirty and evil creature, you shouldn't have came to this world. Therefore, be purified. After being blasted by the lightning bolt, an indifferent voice suddenly rang out behind it. It hastily turned its head only to see three strange lights intertwined together shooting straight towards it. In the next instant, they cut past its body. Ah! An unresigned shriek rang out at this moment as thick black smoke rose from the body of the darkness creature. However, the moment the black smoke appeared, it rapidly dissipated and the darkness creature swiftly followed. Lin Dong looked towards the darkness creature which was disappearing bit by bit under the combined efforts of the three great divine treasures. Only then did he sigh in relief. Currently, his face was somewhat pale. Activating and utilizing those three great divine treasures had indeed consumed quite a bit of his energy. After heaving a breath of relief, Lindong turned towards the demonic corpse floating in the air as his eyes faintly narrowed. At the moment, the demonic markings originally on the latter's body had disappeared completely. Its originally black pupils had now transformed into a bright and resplendent silver. If one were to observe carefully, one would be able to see that they seemed to contain endless lightning. At the same time, powerful fluctuations started to slowly radiate from its body. These fluctuations were not the slightest bit weaker than an expert at the perfect profound death stage. This expert from the ancient times seemed to have completely regained his mind at this moment. A faint silver light enveloped the body of the demonic corpse. The evil demonic chi that had pervaded its body had now completely dissipated. At this moment, fluctuations started to appear within its eyes. Elder? Did we succeed? Lindong asked curiously while his eyes remained tightly locked on the silver glowing figure. The expression on the silver glowing figure's face was somewhat stiff, while its eyes remained vacant for quite a while. Subsequently, an exceedingly joyous elation erupted from within, causing its entire body to faintly tremble. From this, one could gauge the overwhelming emotions that were racing through his heart. Thank you, young man. The silver glowing figure slowly rose, before he gave a solemn and respectful bow to Lindong. Meanwhile, thick feelings of gratitude and appreciation were brimming within his words. Hearing its thanks, Lindong immediately heaved a huge sigh of relief. Smiling, he replied, "No need for such courtesy, elder. Since I possess the devouring ancestral symbol, I naturally have to fight these Yimos." While uttering these words, Lindong had a different thought in his mind. There is no way in this world he would not help him. If he didn't help, he would have a headache trying to think of a way to deal with a crazy profound death stage expert. Elder should be safe and sound right now, am I right? Ha ha, congratulations. Cupping his hands at the silver glowing figure, Lindong smiled while speaking out. The demonic tattoos on my body have been erased. Therefore, the sliver of consciousness that was sealed here for thousands of years is finally free. However, I probably can't live on for long and I will disappear soon. The silver glowing figure replied. Disappear? Lindong gawked immediately, before asking hastily, isn't the Yimo chi in your body already dispelled? Why will you disappear? Ha ha, this sliver of consciousness is merely a remnant fragment of my soul. After being sealed for thousands of years, it has reached its limit. If not for my persistence, it might have already been lost a long time ago to the corrosion from the Yimo chi. The silver glowing figure replied with a laugh. His voice sounded abnormally free and suave. After being freed from that state of corrosion, he must be feeling extremely satisfied. Regardless, I'm a person that had died thousands of years ago. If I'm able to regain my consciousness even for just a short moment, I'm perfectly happy. What's more to wish for? My brothers back then have already turned into dust and returned to the ground. Thus, there is nothing left in this world that will keep me around. Upon hearing those words from the silver glowing figure, Lindong felt slightly speechless and silent. From the former's mindset, it seems like he had already accepted his death. After giving a soft sigh, Lindong asked, "May I know your name, elder?" "Zhou Fei." The silver glowing figure replied with a smile, before saying, "Young man, you've come to this Thunder Palace in order to hunt for treasures, right? This place might have already turned into a wasteland." "Yes, I wish to find the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol." Lindong replied while nodding his head. The Thunderbolt ancestral symbol, Upon hearing Lindong's reply, Zhou Fei gawked for a while, before a fond look of reminiscence appeared within his eyes. With a soft voice, he said, "That year, Lord Thunder Emperor had indeed obtained the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol. However, because of that, our Thunder Palace was targeted by those Yimos, which launched a large-scale invasion." "Were the invading Yimos very powerful?" "Ha ha, a king-grade and 2 general-grade Yimos simultaneously attacked us, together with a considerable number of commanders-grade Yimos." Zhou Fei replied with a faint smile. "A king and 2 generals?" Lindong's eyes immediately faintly narrowed, as horror and shock erupted uncontrollably within his heart. A king-grade Yimo was comparable to a peak expert at reincarnation stage. As for a general-grade Yimo, it was powerful enough to fight evenly against an expert at samsara stage. Lin Dong had witnessed before how overbearing a Yimo of this grade was during his time at the unique devil region. Even someone as powerful as the Fen Qian had to risk his life just to seal one up. However, there were two of them that had attacked this cave dwelling. Furthermore, they were accompanied by an even more powerful Yimo, a king-grade Yimo. As for those so-called commanders, they might be comparable to experts at profound death stage. It's no wonder why this cave dwelling was wrecked till such an extent. The war that took place back then must have startled the world. Those Yimos were quite cunning. They chose to launch a surprise attack just as Lord Thunder Emperor was attempting the reincarnation tribulation to break into the reincarnation stage. Nonetheless, even though Lord Thunder Emperor was severely wounded, he still managed to kill the two general-grade Yimos and seal the king-grade Yimo. When mentioning Lord Thunder Emperor, Lin Dong could sense the unconcealable respect present in Zhou Fei's voice. Obviously, the latter truly respected his lord. Lord Thunder Emperor was still not a reincarnation stage expert. Lin Dong was able to decipher some clues from Zhou Fei's previous statements. At that time, he was actually not a genuine reincarnation stage expert. If our Lord had survived the reincarnation tribulation, for general-grade Yimos won't be able to destroy our Thunder Palace. At the very least, they would need to be accompanied by a king-grade Yimo. Zhou Fei replied. A hint of arrogance was inevitably present within his words. Lin Dong's expression changed. However, he wasn't overly surprised by this fact. If Lord Thunder Emperor was a regular samsara stage expert, dealing with a general-grade Yimo would already be his limit. However, he was no ordinary individual because he had a divine treasure, the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol, in his hands. By utilizing the strength of the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol, Lord Thunder Emperor's combat abilities would definitely be able to reach up to a reincarnation stage expert. Unfortunately, though he sealed the king-grade Yimo, Lord Thunder Emperor paid the price with his life. When he mentioned his point, Zhou Fei's expression dimmed substantially. Lin Dong faintly nodded his head. After all, regardless, Lord Thunder Emperor was not a reincarnation stage expert. If he was to step into the reincarnation stage, the end result might be different. Is the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol still in this cave dwelling? Unable to bear it anymore, Lin Dong finally asked the burning question in his heart. Yes. Zhou Fei nodded his head, replying, if I am not mistaken, the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol should be in the Thunder World. Lin Dong instantly heaved a sigh of relief. From the looks of it, coming here was indeed the right decision. The Thunderbolt ancestral symbol was indeed here. However, in the next moment, he responded while his forehead started to slightly wrinkle, Thunder World. A space carved out by Lord Thunder Emperor himself. Other than him, no one else can enter. Lin Dong felt slightly stunned. If he wasn't able to enter the so-called Thunder World, how could he obtain the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol? Ha ha. There's no need for you to panic. The Thunder World also requires a key to enter. Moreover, I'm able to sense that you seem to have a part of that key on your body. Zhou Fei replied with a laugh. Key? Lin Dong gawked, before hastily withdrawing the silver tower key from his Qianquan bag. Is it this? Shooting a look at the silver tower key, Zhou Fei smiled and nodded his head, while replying, that's part of the key. If I'm not mistaken, there should be 3 silver tower keys. Only by combining all 3, would you be able to obtain a complete key. Then, you will be able to enter the Thunder World and look for the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol. It actually requires 3 silver tower keys to enter the Thunder World. Lin Dong's forehead started to faintly wrinkle up. In that case, wouldn't he need to snatch the silver tower keys from 9 Serene Gate and Mysterious Sky Hall, if he wanted to enter the Thunder World? That would be quite troublesome. How do I enter the Thunder World? Lin Dong asked while clenching his teeth. He had already came so far and no one could dampen his desire to obtain the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol. If that was the only way to do so, he would just have to snatch the keys. The Thunder Hall is at the center of the depths of the cave dwelling. That's the most central location of this cave dwelling. The entrance of the Thunder World is located there. Zhuo Fei replied. Thunder Hall, Lin Dong carved these words in his heart. From the looks of it, that should also be the spot where all the elites would gather. However, if I'm not mistaken, the Thunder Hall should be guarded by the 3 great Thunder Kings. Zhuo Fei said. 3 great Thunder Kings? Back then, our Thunder Palace had Lord Thunder Emperor as its head. Below him were the 4 great Thunder Kings, nicknamed North, South, East and West. As for me, I'm the Eastern Thunder King. As for the other 3, they might be in a similar state as I was before. However, as of now, they should have completely lost their consciousness. A complicated expression appeared on Zhuo Fei's face as he replied softly. Hiss. Lin Dong sucked in a breath of cold air. There were actually 3 lightning corps just like Zhuo Fei in the Thunder Hall? In that case, that would be equivalent to 3 experts at advanced profound death stage. With them in the way, who would be able to charge into the Thunder Hall? The reason why he could handle Zhuo Fei was due to the sliver of consciousness left in his body. Only by collaborating with him from the inside, was Lin Dong able to dispel the Yimo Qi. However, from the looks of it, the 3 other corpses have already lost their consciousness. Other than a head-on confrontation, there seems to be no other way left. God damn it. Lin Dong smiled bitterly. Looks like the Thunder Hall itself isn't going to be an easy place to enter, notwithstanding the so-called Thunder World. Whether you are able to obtain the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol will depend on your fate, young man. However, it's best to avoid revealing the ancestral symbol in the future. If not, trouble might find its way to you. Zhuo Fei reminded. Lin Dong nodded his head. Even a faction as powerful as the Thunder Palace was obliterated. Since he was alone, if the Yimos came knocking on his door, he would likely wound up in an even more miserable state. Ha ha, it's all thanks to you that I am able to regain my consciousness. Thank you very much. I'm unable to return this great favor that you have shown me. The only thing I can do is to give my body to you as thanks. With a free and suave laugh, Zhuo Fei laughed while facing Lin Dong. In the next moment, a bright and resplendent lightning glow radiated from his body. Faintly, extremely berserk fluctuations started to slowly radiate out. As Zhuo Fei's body turned bright and resplendent, a thunderbolt core approximately at foot large gradually condensed and took shape within the resplendent glow. The lightning energy contained within was undoubtedly much richer than all the other thunderbolt cores that he had obtained earlier. A low and deep thunder roar reverberated within the burning sky cauldron. Bright and resplendent silver halos were emitted in a circular ripple. They resembled waves and looked exceptionally brilliant. Zhuo Fei's body gradually faded away as he stood within the light circle. However, a 10 feet large thunderbolt core slowly took shape as his body slowly faded away. Meanwhile, there was an extremely frightening fluctuation being vaguely emitted. Young friend, please accept my final gift. Ha ha, thanks for freeing me. Zhuo Fei's fading figure smilingly looked at Lin Dong. His eyes were filled with gratitude and joy. He was aware that he would completely disappear from this world the moment his body disappeared. Elder, rest in peace. Lin Dong respectfully bowed towards Zhuo Fei, as someone from the younger generation ought to. Although he had only known Zhuo Fei for an extremely short period of time, the carefree and suave fashion in which the latter faced death was indeed worthy of his respect. Young friend, if you can obtain all the Silver Tower keys, you should be able to control the Lightning Realm. Hence, if you want to obtain the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol, you must obtain the complete set of keys. Zhuo Fei's hoarse voice stealthily sounded out just as his body was about to completely vanish within the lightning glow. I understand. Lin Dong nodded gently. He looked at Zhuo Fei's body as he vanished and felt a sense of loss. However, he quickly braced his attention. The dead have already left the world, however he was still alive and had to live on properly. That was because there were still things that he must protect. In order to protect those things, he would require an even greater amount of power. The incident in the unique Devil City allowed Lin Dong understand just how powerless he was. He did not wish for a similar incident to occur again. The feeling of being hunted down like a homeless stray was truly terrible. Huff. Lin Dong inhaled a deep breath of air and suppressed the fluctuating emotions within his heart. After which, he turned his attention towards the thunderbolt core filled with lightning glow in front of him. The size of this thunderbolt core was at least over a dozen times larger compared to those that he had obtained before. Moreover, the lightning energy contained within was even purer and more potent. It was so powerful that it even Lin Dong's expression to change. It is indeed worthy a thunderbolt core that was agglomerated by a profound death stage expert, Lin Dong sighed. Zhou Fei's body had been refined over thousands of years at the deepest part of the lightning lake. Every muscle and skin on his body had likely merged completely with the lighting energy. Now that his body had been completely reduced into a thunderbolt core, the strength of that thunderbolt was likely quite terrifying. Let's first try and see how much I can absorb. Lin Dong's eyes were searing hot as he stared at the thunderbolt core. He immediately sat down in mid-air. A thought passed through his mind before his devouring ancestral symbol turned into a black hole above his head. After which, the black hole rotated slowly. Waves after waves of devouring force spluttered out. Bang! A low and deep thunder roar was emitted from within the thunderbolt core after having seemingly sensed the devourment of the devouring power. There seemed to be a vague resisting force being emitted. This thunderbolt core was clearly even more powerful compared to the rest, and it was actually able to put up resistance when it knew that it was about to be devoured. However, its resistance clearly did not pose much problems for Lin Dong. The devouring ancestral symbol increased its rotating speed. Following which, the rate in which the devouring power surged out also grew. Buzz buzz. The thunderbolt core trembled intensely in the face of this increasingly powerful and overbearing devouring power. Soon after, many bright lightning glows turned into resplendent rays that escaped and flowed continuously towards the black hole. Crackle. Lightning sparks cackled within the black hole and there was thunder being vaguely emitted. However, these wild and violent lighting power were clearly helpless in the face of the devouring ancestral symbol, which could devour everything in this world. The black hole lingered over Lin Dong's head. Suddenly, it paused. A lightning glow whistled out from it and directly wrapped around Lin Dong, who was sitting below. The lightning glow contained an extremely pure lightning energy. Moreover, this type of lightning energy had already tamed by the devouring power after passing through the devouring ancestral symbol. Hence, it did not cause any discomfort to Lin Dong's body. Therefore, Lin Dong was able to fearlessly absorb this type of pure lightning energy. A smile rose on the corner of Lin Dong's mouth. He slowly shut his eyes while his hands formed the training seal. Green light surged on his body and he was just like a massive bottomless beast that continuously absorbed the lightning energy into his body. Bang bang. Lin Dong's body trembled intensely after these majestic lightning energy entered his body. A low and deep thunder continued to be emitted from within his body. However, only Lin Dong was able to clearly feel that after an explosive thunder roar, waves of pure lightning energy were beginning to merge with his limbs, meridians, and bones. These pure lightning energy caused his body to feel vaguely numb. In the face of this numbness, the cells, bones, muscles within his body emitted a greedy cry. They could feel that after absorbing this power, they would grow increasingly powerful. Green light was spread across Lin Dong's body. The green heaven materialized dragon skill had also detected the benefits of the lightning energy and it actually began to circulate by itself. Green light surged and greedily absorbed all the lightning energy that surged onto his body. With the thunderbolt continuously being emitted from within his body, many green dragon light tattoos began to form at a shocking rate. Back at the chaotic tower, Lin Dong's physical body had already reached a certain stage. However, it was clear that the current him was about to break this limit. Bang bang. The sound of thunder roars spread in a wave-like fashion inside the burning sky cauldron. Lin Dong quietly sat under the black hole. At this moment, the devouring ancestral symbol and the thunderbolt core had clearly formed a half-cycle with Lin Dong. The devouring ancestral symbol would devour and tame the energy within the thunderbolt core. After which, it would continuously pour it into Lin Dong's body, allowing the meridians and bones within Lin Dong's body to absorb it perfectly. The green light over Lin Dong's body grew denser at a shockingly fast pace under this continuously absorption. The green dragon light tattoo on his body also became increasingly resplendent. However, it seems like regardless of how much Lindong absorbed, the size of the thunderbolt core in front of him remained the same and it only looked slightly duller. From this, it was possible to tell just how frightening the lightning energy contained within it was. The thunderbolt roar continued to recocate within the interior of the burning sky cauldron. Around half a day passed before the green light flickering over Lindong's body slowly diminished. The black hole above his head also gradually stopped rotating. Kai? Lindong's tightly shut eyes were suddenly opened at a certain moment. Both his eyes were filled with lightning glow. A green light scattered, causing them to appear somewhat mysterious. Huff! A breath of white vapor was slowly being spat out from Lindong's mouth. Within that white vapor, tiny lightning arcs flashed. He extended both his palms and it was possible to see that there was even tiny electric currents running across his skin. A joy flashed across Lindong's eyes. He quickly shut his eyes and sensed the situation within his body. The joy within his eyes abruptly grew richer when he next opened it. 35. At this moment, Lindong discovered that the green dragon light tattoos within his body had actually reached 35. Back at the chaotic tower, the maximum number of green dragon light tattoos that his physical body could form was 10. The other 13 tattoos were a gift from having devoured the purple gold skin. However, those could only be used once. Lindong had already used all of them when fighting Pang Hao previously. Now, Lindong realized that after only a few days of training, the number of green dragon light tattoos in his body had reached 35. This rate at which he was improving was almost godlike. Currently, Lindong was confident that if he was to directly use these 35 green dragon light tattoo, it was likely that he could cripple Pang Hao with a single punch. This is really good stuff. Lindong parted his mouth and laughed. His eyes looked at the thunderbolt core in front of him. At this moment, it had become slightly dimmer. However, it was still filled with a surging lightning energy. Clearly, it was still sufficient for his training. Just like Lindong had predicted, the lightning energy contained within this thunderbolt core had surpassed all the other thunderbolt cores combined. It seems like he did not lose out even though he was a good Samaritan this time around. Currently, I am in the middle of the cave. It is not apt to train here for long. Lindong waved his sleeve. He kept the thunderbolt core in front of him into the Qiankun bag. Although he was aware that his strength would increase if he continued to train, he did not have so much time to do so now. The Thunderbolt ancestral symbol was his main goal. Let's get the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol first. Lindong ceased lingering any further the moment this thought crossed his mind. He disappeared from the burning sky cauldron. After he disappeared, the thunder roar within the cauldron also stealthily vanished. This video will end here.